Have you ever wondered why people sit through 3-hour Joe Rogan podcast episodes? It's not just because he's good or has entertaining guests on, it's because they feel like they helped create the show. If your audience doesn't feel ownership, they will never become raving fans. So let me show you exactly how to fix this with one simple shift. Joe Rogan literally has one of the most loyal audiences on the internet, hands down. His fans, and myself included, don't just watch these clips, right? They will sit through literally 3-hour episodes week after week, but most people assume it's just because he's entertaining or controversial, but that's not it. His content is crazy long, often super slow, and sometimes they ramble and I just have to skip through it, but yet people are obsessed. Therefore, something else is at play here. It's not just the content, it's the connection. Rogan makes his audience feel like they are part of the process. He constantly says things like, a lot of you commented on having this guest, or I got so much feedback from you, all asking for follow-up questions on this. But that's not just acknowledgement. It's actually a signal. He's making you, the viewer, feel like you are the co-creator and not just a consumer. And that is extremely powerful. When people feel involved, even in small ways, their investment goes way up. So they're not just watching, they're committing. They protect the host and they share episodes with the people that they know. But most service-based business owners, they don't create that specific opportunity. All they're focused on, and I know I do this myself, right? And I've struggled with this a lot. All they're focused on is delivering value, tips and advice and insights, which honestly, that's great because it starts to build credibility, but it doesn't build ownership. Your audience watches, which is what you want, and then they leave. They don't comment, they don't share, and you end up getting no referrals from them. If you want to create raving fans, you need to give people a reason to believe it's partly theirs. And this is where one of the most powerful psychological effects you've never heard of makes everything click. Have you ever noticed how much pride you take in something when you had a hand in actually building it, and not just using it, but shaping it and building it from the ground up, like putting together a backyard fire pit, right? Even though you knew it would take you twice as long doing it yourself as opposed to hiring someone, or customizing every detail of a pair of sneakers like we used to do back in the 90s, or like me, mowing your own lawn when you know you could easily pay for someone else to do it. Oh, and by the way, you may never be able to take away the joy that I get in mowing my own lawn and having it look better than the neighbors, right? But it's way slower and it's way harder, but it feels better because it's yours. You didn't just buy the thing, you built the thing. Therefore, it holds more value to you. And that's not just a nice story. That's actually science. But again, most business owners completely overlook this when they create content. They are focused on polished production and perfection, but they forget to include their audience in the process. Therefore, the content might be useful, but it's not theirs. And here's what happens. It doesn't create the connection that you're really looking for. It doesn't build loyalty. It doesn't move people to act because they didn't build it. They just watched it. There's actually a name for this whole thing, a bias that explains why we value things more when we help create them. The science behind this is called the IKEA effect, and it's super powerful. When someone puts even a little effort into something, they become emotionally attached to it. I know that you've felt that before. I know you've been there before. But if there's no effort, there's no ownership. Therefore, no real investment. There's no stickiness there. There's no conversion. This is what is happening in your content all of the time, even if you don't see it. You're giving value, but your audience isn't putting anything in, which means they're not getting anything out. So if the IKEA effect explains why people care more when they're involved, then the next question is, why isn't your audience feeling that way right now? If this is clicking for you, I actually run a free group for service-based business owners who want to get clear, get seen, and grow sustainably with video content. That's where I go deeper and give behind the scenes stuff that I don't get to share anywhere else. All you have to do is click the link in the description to join. All right, let's be real. You've probably created solid video content up until this point. You're showing up, you're sharing value, you're posting consistently, and maybe you're even getting a few likes here and there and a few comments here and there and a few reshares here and there. But still, your audience feels passive, right? They're watching and then they're scrolling and then they move on. They're gone. And then you're left wondering, what the heck else do I have to give them, right? What else do they want from me? That is the trap. You assume it's a value gap. Like you need to just crank out more tips or more posts, more stories, more this, more that, more everything, but that's not it. I promise you, it's not about more content, it's about more involvement. They're not engaged because they're not invested, and they're not invested because they never had a reason to be. So your videos become something they just consume, not something that they can connect to. Here is what most service providers miss. You're putting in the effort, we know that, but your audience isn't. And when people don't contribute anything, they don't feel anything. I literally just got an email this morning from someone who watched one of my videos on sounding more human in your messaging. That one message sparked multiple content ideas for me. So I'm going to involve him. I literally even asked him if I can make a video about that and use his message as B-roll in it. Because if one person's asking it, the chances are there are thousands more thinking it. And that's the kind of moment that invites people in, when they feel seen inside your content and not just talked at. So the question isn't, how do I add more value, right? That's so freaking boring, dude. It's how do I create opportunities for shared value? And once you realize the real opportunity isn't in adding more, but inviting people to build with you, that's when everything changes. So buckle up, this is the big shift. Inviting your audience in doesn't mean losing control. It doesn't mean your content's gonna get messy and just feel random or off-brand. It just means you open the door to something much bigger than just you. And I promise you, most creators treat their video content like it's a stage. They feel that they always need to be the one teaching and informing, but the ones who build real loyalty, they treat it like a round table, like a true community. Because when someone feels like they are a stakeholder and part of the community, they are going to show up vastly differently. And look, co-creation doesn't have to be complicated. You're not trying to create something crazy here. It can literally be as simple as this. Hey, I'm thinking about covering 2 topics next week. Which one actually helps you more? Then you just post both anyway, and you shout them out. Or maybe it's a comment that sparks your next video. Charlie said this in the comments, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. That one line turns your video from for someone to with someone. You're not just delivering value anymore. You're showing that this isn't a one-way street. You're proving that they are part of the process. And this is what the top business creators are doing at a super high level. This is how you create raving fans. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Starting that process is only half of the game. You can invite feedback even if you use it, but if you never say that out loud, that trust never sticks. So once your audience starts shaping your content, even just a little bit, the next move is critical. You've got to show them that it's theirs. You're human, I'm human. And this is where most people drop the ball. And honestly, they never even get to it. You've invited the feedback. You've used it to shape your content, but if you never say that out loud, your audience won't feel like they had anything to do with it. That's the missing link. Not just co-creation, but co-ownership. ownership. Because, and here is the truth, people don't feel invested in something just because they helped. They feel invested when they know that they helped. They have to know it. They have to hear it and really understand it. They only know if you show them. This is where you end up closing the loop. You need to make it crystal clear. This idea came from Charlie's comment last week, and it got me thinking. You all voted for this. I wouldn't have made this without your input. Here's what you told me, and here's what I created. That's not fluff. It tells your audience you matter, and your voice shapes this. And the moment they see their fingerprints on your content, it stops being your video and it becomes our video. That shift, that is monumental. That's when casual viewers become a community. That is when it's not just about engagement anymore. It's about belief and it's about ownership, the IKEA effect. Because when someone helps you build something and you show them that they did and they take pride in it, here's where the magic happens. They are going to promote it. They're going to protect you, and they become raving fans because now it's personal, just like Joe Rogan's followers. But if you never signal that shift, if you never say something like, you helped build this, then all that potential energy fades and you stay the performer, they stay the audience. You don't want an audience anymore. You want advocates, and advocates are born at the intersection of effort and acknowledgement. You don't need louder content. You don't need more content. You need co-owned content. The kind your audience helps, shapes, believes in, and shares. Because when people feel like they're part of the process, they don't want to just engage. They convert, they stick, and they refer. So if you're ready to build that content that actually grows your business and not just your likes and your views, and you want to apply for my 3 or 6 month program, we will build it together. Done with you and for you. Click the link in the description to apply. This is how you stop guessing and start growing.